So that was pretty much just a brief summary of the story. That obviously there's a lot more to it than what I've said, but that was just like the main parts of the Uncharted 4 story. Um, Supposedly, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard rumors of a possible Uncharted 5, and let me just give my opinion on that. I do not want Naughty Dog to make another main Uncharted game. Like, I think the story has ended perfectly, in my opinion. Like, Nathan Drake's adventures are over. Like, the idea mainly is that his daughter Cassie, like I mentioned in part 1, is gonna be like the main character, and I kind of disagree with that. Like, I don't think there should be any main Uncharted games anymore, a part of the main storyline. Like, if they want to make spin-off games, then by all means they should do that, because like Lost Legacy, for example. Lost Legacy is a Uncharted spin-off game, and that was really good. I actually really enjoyed that game. So if Naughty Dog want to make spin-off Uncharted games, then go for it, because those are good. But like, in terms of main Uncharted games, they should just stop here, because this was a fantastic conclusion to an already great series. So yeah, like, just leave Uncharted 4 as is. Like, I don't like the idea of continuing the series with Cassie, and some people have even suggested that Sam should be like the main character as well, and I disagree. But like I said, continue to make spin-off games, because I don't think the series should just flat out end, because this is a really good. It's easily one of the best series on PS4, and just not only PS4 but just PlayStation in general. Like, Naughty Dog really did something amazing with this series. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, that's what I want to say about that. And now moving on to the locations and areas you go to in this game. So let me just say, the places you go in this game are incredible. So near the start of the game, you go to Scotland, and that is a amazing area. Like, I really like that area. It's super cool looking. And then once you're done there, you get to travel to Africa, and not only that, but you get to drive around and like explore, and that's really cool. And then after Africa, you go to Libertalia, which is the island, which is actually where I am on the gameplay that you're looking at on screen is actually on Libertalia. And you get to drive a boat around and like explore, and yeah, it's really cool. Like, the locations in Uncharted have always been fantastic. Like, obviously in Uncharted 1, it's set in like a jungle, like pretty standard. Uncharted 2, you get to go to like the Himalayas and like the snowy mountains. That's really cool. Uncharted 3, you go like to a desert and like a lost city in the desert, which is really awesome. And there's obviously more to it than that. Like, you don't just go to those areas that I've mentioned, but those are like the main areas you're in for those games. And then obviously Uncharted 4 is no different. You got, like, obviously I feel like you're at Libertalia the longest, but there are definitely more locations than just that. But like, the point I'm making here is the Uncharted games have always had really cool locations that you go to. And yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about that. Now, on to the characters. I'm going to be talking about the characters now. So, obviously, Nathan Drake doesn't need to be, like, spoken about, really. Like, if any of you have played Uncharted, you know Nathan Drake. Like, he's charismatic, he's funny, he's cool. Like, obviously he has flaws as well. Like, he's not a perfect character. He can be selfish at times, and obviously he puts himself in danger without really thinking about the consequence that would have on the people that care about him. Like Elena, Sully, even in this game, Sam as well. He's got Sam to worry about now. But, obviously, like, Elena and Sully as well, if you've played the other games, you know a lot about them. So I won't really discuss them that much, but who I want to discuss in this video are Sam, Rafe, and Nadine, because they're new characters. They're new to this game. So Sam, as I discussed in part 1, is actually Nate's older brother, who Nate thought was dead from the prison escape that they tried to do. They thought that Nate thought that Sam had been shot and killed, and all these years as well. And it was such a sensitive topic to Nate that he never even brought up to Elena, his own wife, who Sam was. Like, she didn't even know. And I mentioned that in part one as well. Sully knew who Sam was because he had gone on like a few brief adventures with him, and as seen when they first meet each other in this game, they don't really like each other that much. Like, they just have a bit of an indifferent, look on each other. Like, they don't really care that much for each other. They're just like acquaintances, really. But yeah, like Sam, he's like obviously Nate's older brother. Ever since they were kids, they've been interested in, like their family history and like treasure hunting and like etc. Like before Sully and before Elena and all that, those two were doing it together until Sam obviously like supposedly died in the prison escape, and then Nate obviously went on without him. But yeah. Now on to Nadine. I actually do like Nadine. She in this game she doesn't have really that much character. She's just a fucking badass. Like she's obviously the leader of a mercenary group, so she is a badass. She's probably the only person in the entire series to kick Nate's ass as bad as she does. She even at some point takes on Sam and Nate simultaneously and absolutely destroys them. They don't even like they I don't even think they land a proper hit on her. Aside from obviously from behind when she doesn't expect it, they do, but she just casually takes both of them on like it's nothing. But yeah, she's just a badass. That's pretty much all there is to her. And I mean, to be fair, in Lost Legacy, she's in Lost Legacy by the way. They do expand on her character a lot more. She's actually good in that game, and she teams up with Chloe from Uncharted 2. If any of you have played Uncharted 2, you know who Chloe is. She teams up with Chloe, and she's actually a good person in that game. So they do expand on her character in Lost Legacy, so... But in spite of that, I do like her in this game. She, like I said, she's a badass. She gives Nate and Sam a really tough challenge. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about her. Now on to Rafe. Now, I have quite a lot to say about Rafe. Rafe, in my opinion, is the best Uncharted villain, by far. Now, the other Uncharted villains are not bad, by any means, but they are just... Like, the only reason they're villains is because their goals are the opposite of Nate, so it's not really anything personal. Like, they just... Nate's in their way, so they don't want him in the way. They're I wouldn't say generic, because that's doing a bit of a disservice, because I wouldn't say they're generic villains, but Rafe this time, it feels personal, because Rafe actually knew Nate beforehand. Like, they were acquaintances. Nate and Sam were all three of them were trying to find the treasure together. So Rafe, he's a personal villain. It's not just like, oh yeah, he's bad. Like, he genuinely despises Nathan Drake. It's not just because their goals are different. He genuinely wants to see Nate and Sam, like, fail. That, and Rafe doesn't just want to find, like, the treasure for, like, wealth or power, because Rafe is he's a rich guy. He grew up rich. He has a lot of wealth. He wants to find this treasure because he wants to achieve something for himself for once in his life, because like he says in the sword fight between him and Nate, which is on screen right now, he mentions that he's had everything handed to him by his rich parents, and in finding Henry Avery's treasure, he's going to achieve something by himself for the first time. So yeah, he just wants to achieve something without having it handed to him. And that's why he wants to find Henry Avery's treasure. Now, a lot of people point out that Rafe is supposed to be like a sort of an evil version of Nate, and I do see where they're coming from. Like, Rafe is pretty much Nathan Drake, but if Nathan Drake was completely just blinded and consumed by, like, treasure hunting, and, like, just didn't give a damn about anything else. That is what Rafe is. He's just a version of Nate consumed and just, like, completely blinded almost by just treasure. And yeah, that's pretty much. Also, his boss fight is easily my favorite out of any of the like villains in the Uncharted games. But yeah, that's probably all I have to say. This is probably going to wrap up the Uncharted 4 review. I hope you all enjoyed. Like, pretty much what I've said, like, Uncharted 4 is a fantastic game. Like, if any of you haven't played it or just haven't checked out the series in general, I highly recommend it. It's a must buy if you own a PS4. I think Naughty Dog really did something great here, and yeah, that's about it. I've had a lot of fun making this. I Stay tuned for more, like, reviews, also gameplay. I'm probably going to get a little bit experimental with my content, but that's the fun of it. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.